My name is Ulrich Molt. I'm a university professor. Thank you for presentation. I just wonder, in addition to fight back in order to try to, to kill the terrorists the way you do you see any supplementary alternatives to handle the current problem? I mean, in addition to try to fight the Hamas?
Maybe I'll take a few questions and okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Silvan. I have not any question, but I am on behalf of the party Serbia Kurdistan will thank you very much for your country, for Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, for Mr. Shimon Peres and Mr. Lieberman to support about Kurdistan independent. Thank you very much. Shukran.
Hi, thank you for me. The only thing that disturbed me as an Israeli, as a Jew, everybody is speaking on Israel as a thieves, that we are occupiers. And no, we are illegal occupiers. We are the only illegal occupiers in the whole world. Every occupation in the world is legal. The only one is not legal is the Jewish one of Judea and Samaria. There is a lot of experts around the world that that say that Judea and Samaria is not occupied. It's not occupied. Why do I never heard any Israeli authority deny this accusation of occupation? I'm tired of hearing all the time occupation. It's not occupied. If it's occupied, it's only by Muslims. Bethlehem is occupied by Muslims, and it's a Jewish city anyway. So why don't I hear any Israeli authority, the prime minister even, just deny that it's occupied? There is no occupation of Judea and Samaria. Thank you.
One more? No, it's okay. Thanks.
My name is Bengt Norgård. I'm a member of the board in MIF. I read just a few days ago in Jerusalem Post that Avigdor Lieberman said that if Israel wanted to, you could finish off with Hamas in maybe 1.5 weeks. Can you tell me more? What could Israel do to so quickly finish Hamas? Because I think we all here think that Israel should really finish the job.
Okay. One more? Okay. So about few alternatives to end the fire. As the Americans are saying, it takes two to tango. I just mentioned that we have decided to accept the ceasefire for certain times, but it was violated by the other side, not by us. And to target their commanders, there are some criticism was in Israel and some other places. Why you are targeting them? Because, they will have some others to replace them. I said by that logic, we shouldn't do anything to try to kill Hitler or Eichmann or Goering or Bin Laden, because they will have some others to replace them. But they have to know that while they are taking such kind of actions and measures, finally they can get it. And they can get it, it means even to get killed. That will be the only way, maybe, to make them to think once again before they are jumping to that idea of terrorism against Israel. So we would like to have the Egyptian formula, to accept it, of course in a way that won't give benefits to the Hamas that he couldn't achieve during the fighting, but we don't want to continue with the fire there. And if I'll go to the last question, of course we can end it in 1 week or 2 weeks because we are much stronger. Our army is capable to do it against those 5,000 militants that they are there of the Hamas and maybe some other thousands of the Islamic Jihad. It might cost a very heavy price of Israeli soldiers that will get killed. Second, what would be the outcome after? And there are some Israelis that are saying that in the day after, we will hand over Gaza to the hands of Abu Mazen. But if we will do it and we will leave, it will take them only a short time before they will assassinate Abu Mazen. So it won't last for a good unless we will remain there. And there are some that believe that we should stay there in order to bring an end to that crisis. About the Kurds, I want you to know that today the Kurds had a very big event and demonstration. While they had the Kurds flag, the Turks flag, the Turkish flag, and the Israeli flag. For the first time, the Israeli flag was there waving in the wind, and that shows how close we are with the Kurds, and we would like really that you will have your independence in a short time. About the question of sovereignty of Judea and Samaria, I just want to give my audience here some historic facts in order to realize what you are talking about, because you are Israeli, and for you, you are most familiar maybe with the details. The British and the French came to the Middle East in 1917. They split and divided the territories between Britain and France. There were those who formed new states like Iraq, like Syria. They were never in Lebanon. They were never states before. And they have decided to give the West Bank to the hands of King Abdullah, the grandfather then. In 1946, they have decided, the British, to give the territory of the West Bank to the hands of King Abdullah, as I mentioned. No one recognized the sovereignty of the Jordanians on the territory except Britain itself and Pakistan, that was then a British colony. More than that, until 1967, they could have an independent Palestinian state in Gaza and the West Bank. Those two parts of territories were not in our hands. What stopped them then to give them an independent Palestinian state? They never even thought to do it because they never even recognized the Palestinian people themselves, not the Jordanians nor the Egyptians. So, while we are talking about that territory that was occupied by the Jordanians, in 1987, the late king of Jordan, King Hussein, the father of the current king, King Abdullah, have decided to leave that territory. Of course, he was not occupying that territory, but he said that he doesn't have any demands toward that territory anymore. So who is that territory belong to? Hebron, Beth El, Nablus, Bethlehem. Well, we all know when the people of Israel entered the state of Israel after 40 years, they crossed the Jordan Valley. The Jordan River, sorry. They crossed the Jordan River. And all of those cities and towns were part of the ancient part of the state of Israel. But I'll tell you something. We had a very long debate in the Israeli parliament about what you are saying. If to try to help the cave of the covenant, איך אומרים מערת המכפלה? In Hebron and in Bethlehem, the cave of Rachel. And I said, listen, you all know that it's written in the Bible that Abraham bought it in Hebron from Ephron the Hittite. And he paid 400 shekels for that. So after I ended my speech, there was an Israeli Arab member of Knesset that approached the podium and said, the Deputy Prime Minister is right. Abraham bought it from Ephron the Hittite. He paid him 400 shekels for that. But Ephron the Hittite was Palestinian. So I tried to take the podium once again, and I asked him, Abraham is not one of your fathers. You have to believe in Abraham. Abraham is the father of Ismail. So it always, who was there first? It's written in the Bible that King David occupied Jerusalem from the Jebusite. What Arafat was always saying, I'm a Jebusite. And we have more tens of examples to show that they are trying always to change the history by giving some information that has no relation to the facts and to the history, but trying to show that they were there before. Everyone knows who were there first, and even though we would like to have peace with the Palestinians, if they really would like to resume the negotiations without preconditions of freezing the settlements, of releasing murderers and prisoners, we will be happy to do it with their leadership that is willing to move toward peace. But if they are still insist to have some concessions from Israel, including what they call the right of return, and we call it the claim of return, of having millions of Palestinians coming and settling in Israel, it's something that we cannot accept. And one last thing. I remember President Clinton told me once that he told Arafat in the year of 2000, when they were there in the Camp David, there was a very big summit with the Israeli Prime Minister then, Ehud Barak, in order to reach a settlement. And he was talking to him about what they call the right of return. So he told me that he told Arafat, listen, you would like to have a Palestinian state, many will support you. You would like to have the Palestinians are coming from all over to settle in your future state in the West Bank, many will support you for that. But when you ask that your own people that already lives in your future state, in the West Bank, in Gaza, will leave their house and their homes in order to go to settle abroad in Israel, it doesn't make sense. And I'm very sorry, it doesn't make sense. Thank you very much.